the people harshing me, I'm harshing them. It's part of the world. You cover it very well. You cover specifically Congress. You see a strange group of people.
At the end of the week, Washington empties out fast. Lawmakers, staffers, they're all heading home. But not before they stop here.
Hello and welcome back to the Punchbowl News Townhouse. I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And this is another episode of 5 Day. It's our season finale. And today we are trading out the Townhouse for the White House, Jake. We have an exclusive interview with President Donald J. Trump. The timing is notable. We're less than 100 days to the midterms, and the Senate is trying to pick up the pace on some last-minute legislation ahead of August recess. Jake, talk a little bit about what your read is after your conversation with the president today.
Yeah, very frustrated, I would say, with the Senate. I don't know if you agree with that. You were there. He's very frustrated with John Thune. He said he's not thinking about whether Thune should be leader again, Republican leader of the Senate. We talked to him about a lot, Anna, a lot of the stuff that's going on Capitol Hill, the Save America Act, the filibuster, whether he actually cares if Republicans keep their majority, whether he thinks he could do business with Hakeem Jeffries, who would theoretically be speaker if Democrats would take back the majority, and about what he thinks about Republican voters. He thinks they're very frustrated with Republicans in Congress, which I found that to be fascinating. What did you think?
Frustrated with Republicans in Congress, but not the president.
Yeah.
He really distanced himself from that. Also, we talked to him about Blanche's nomination, Pentagon funding, a look at whether he thinks the Fed should hike rates or not.
That's right.
We covered a ton of ground. After our interview, we'll be joined by Punchbowl News' own co-founder, John Bresnahan, to help us break down the conversation. We're going to get right to that conversation with the president. But first, a quick word from our presenting sponsor, Boeing.
Presented by Boeing. As America celebrates 250 years, Boeing honors a shared journey of ingenuity. Today, that legacy powers 1.4 million jobs across all 50 states. That's how Boeing backs America.
All right, President Trump, welcome to Flyout Day.
Thank you.
Here to talk about Congress.
Good.
We have 89 days until the midterm elections, something you've been focused on. But let's start with Save America Act and the Senate and John Thune, the leader of the Senate. Doesn't look likely, can't guarantee it doesn't look likely the budget resolution's getting on the floor this week. They're trying to wrap up a lot of business. That resolution does carry the blueprint for the Save America Act. Thune says it doesn't have the votes. You seem to think it does, or they should try or do something. He's been pretty pointed on this, Thune. He says he doesn't see a pathway to 50, 51, doesn't have 60. Democrats aren't voting for it. What's the disconnect between you and Thune?
Well, we have no disconnect. I think we have a good relationship, but I view that as a very important thing. It's voter ID. If you just even take the ballots out of it, the ballots are very important, but we do that another time. Voter ID, and it's proof of citizenship. And I figure you can't get any more basic than that. In other words, we want to see your citizenship. We want to make sure that you're a citizen to vote. We like photo ID just to make sure, because the elections are rigged in this country. The elections are a mess in this country. And that was proven in 2020, and it's been proven elsewhere. Look at the recent election that took place with the Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles. All of a sudden, they came from nowhere. It looked like he was in the runoff, or easily in the runoff. The other one was, the third place was a woman nobody ever heard of. She's crying, "Oh, I didn't make it. She didn't make it by a lot." All of a sudden, she surged. Unknown people don't surge. And she surged after the election was over. And she ended up getting in the runoff. He didn't. Look, we're like a third world country in many cases, in many states, third world country. So I think it's very important. Save America Act is a very important thing. John's trying. He's trying hard. I really believe that. But if he doesn't get there, it would be unfortunate.
He says, why don't you get the votes for it?
Well, I can probably do that, but I have a couple of people that I won't do so well with. You understand why, right? They're no longer in power as soon as they leave on January 20th.
Should he put it up for a vote either way?
Yeah, I would, because I'd like to see the people that want to vote against it. I want to see the people, both Republican and Democrat, who vote against, because mostly it's Democrats. We have most Republicans, in all fairness. We'll have a few. We'll be like a couple short, or maybe one short which we shouldn't be any. What Republican is going to vote against it?
I could tell you there's a couple.
I know the ones. You don't have to tell me. I know the ones, and I find it hard to believe. But you have all the Democrats are going to vote against it. Every Democrat is going to vote against it.
They have 5 times, to be clear.
Well, they do it over and over, and I think it should pay a price during the election, for the election. Every single Democrat is opposed. But not only that, they're opposed to even the great, big, beautiful bill. I like the term better than the one. I like the great better than the one. But the great, big, beautiful bill is something that they all voted against, every single one of them. So they voted against, no tax on tips, and they voted against the Social Security, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, car loan deductions, all these things, these incredible things. They voted against everything. They vote against transgender all the time, the mutilization of your children. They vote against open borders. They vote in favor of open borders. They vote totally in favor of open borders. These people, it's the craziest thing. So I like having their hands go up voting against all of these things. But when you vote against, as an example, when you vote against the Save America Act, you're voting against fair voting. And when you think that they're voting against citizenship, I want to see a citizenship. These are things that nobody can understand when they're voting against photo ID. And, it was very interesting because in New York the other day, they were talking about the food store. And you see, they want to be licensed. They want you to be licensed in order to buy a loaf of bread. Maybe the same things also in New York. And these are people absolutely don't want anything having to do with elections. In other words, you can just walk in no matter who you are. But when it came to shoveling snow, did you see that? You had to get 2 forms of identification to get licensed to shovel snow. But to go in and vote, you don't need anything. No, it's no good.
So you have a government funding fight coming up September 30th, which is just, it's 5-6 weeks away, whatever it is. If it doesn't get done now, do you want to push for it in a
Look, I'm going to say whatever happens. It was set up so that it would be before the election. And you could very well have a closed country because the Democrats are going to vote entirely against it. They're going to vote against it.
Well, it seems like they're for. Yeah,
they're in favor of closing down the country. They're in favor of closing. Look, I'll go a step further. I'd like to see a termination of the filibuster.
Well, you don't have the votes for that, right?
Oh, that's one I really can't believe.
Well, why? I mean,
that's even a step.
You say Democrats would do it. They tried.
You don't have Democrat votes right now. But if they get in office, 100% they'll terminate the filibuster. You know that.
Well, they tried. They weren't able to last time.
Well, but those 2 people are now out of service.
That's true.
They're doing other things. They're no longer politicians. And they wouldn't have been able to get elected they couldn't have gotten the nomination. But, and look, it's incredible. Termination of the filibuster, so good. And you have most Republicans in favor. And then you have some old line people that they actually believe, some of the Republicans actually believe the Democrats won't do it. And I would say,
I actually don't think that, I think there are a lot more people who are against it than it seems public.
I think the Democrats will do it in the first hour, day, and if they're really slow, week, it'll be done. And then you know what happens? You have 2 more states, so to speak, right? You have D.C. and you have Puerto Rico. You have 4 more senators. You have 8 more congressmen. You have 23 because the real number they want is 23 Supreme Court justices. That's their real number. They talk about 13. Who wants 13? Somebody was arguing about that. Who wants 13? You're going to pick 13, a lucky number, 13. You build a building, you don't show a 13th floor. So all of these horrible things are going to happen. I really believe you have a couple of people that believe, and I'm very surprised that you believe that. So you think that?
I think that there are a lot of people when push comes to shove are not going to be there to blow up the filibuster.
We'll make a gentleman's bet, okay?
I try not to bet on, I don't bet on politics.
And you know what? I hope I lose.
Okay. The Pentagon, as part of this budget resolution, the Pentagon is in line to get $60-some-odd billion. If they don't get that in short order, which is, what you want. You want this thing to happen.
And we're doing so well, and to, have to break it up a little bit.
What would it mean if you didn't get that money? If the Pentagon didn't
It's not good. The Democrats are kamikaze pilots.
But this is Republicans too right now. To be clear, on the budget resolution, it is.
It's not even believable that it's Republicans, okay?
But it is.
Not many, but it's a few Republicans, yes.
Let's talk about Blanche, Todd Blanche, your Attorney General nominee.
Sure.
Bill Cassidy, Lisa Murkowski are on the fence. You think he's going to be confirmed?
All I can say is that he's a great gentleman. He's a great person. He's great at what he does. Everybody agrees with that. People think he's incredible. If they don't agree to do what they should do, it'd be very sad. And we'll all survive. Todd will survive.
You'll keep him in as acting.
Yeah, sure. He'll be acting.
Yeah.
But why should he be acting when, and if he was a marginal, everybody agrees he's fantastic. He's great. He's fair. He's a fair guy, not a radical flamethrower. He's going to be acting and, we'll try it again.
I wonder if you feel any, because a lot of these people who are against him, who have given you trouble on him, are people you endorsed against, right? I mean, you have Cornyn, Cassidy, Murkowski, you kind of
essentially
slag. Yes. Right. So
Murkowski, I was against.
Yeah.
I'm against Murkowski. I think I do more for Alaska than any president in history. No president's done for Alaska what I've done. She's not good.
Do you regret any going against these people? It makes your agenda harder to get through.
Look, I don't regret it. You do what you have to do.
Yeah. Do you want Thune to serve another term as leader?
And just so you understand, they voted to impeach me.
No, I was there. Yeah.
In all fairness, you think that I'm going to support somebody that voted to impeach me?
Yeah, no, I hear.
You know what, MAGA, my beautiful MAGA base, the greatest people on earth, you know what they'd do if I voted in favor of somebody that voted to impeach the person that they love and I love them? They would not be happy.
Do you want Thune to serve another term as leader? Would you support him?
Well, I don't want to get into that necessarily, but
why?
I'll tell
a lot of people are thinking about it. This is a big issue.
I get along with him. It's unfortunate that he doesn't have the vote.
But do you actually get along with him?
I do.
But you clearly disagree. I mean, you have big disagreements.
I do have disagreements. I believe strongly in terminating the filibuster. And by the way, getting Save America Act approved immediately and about 400 other things in every hour of every day. Boom, boom, boom. You get whatever you want. You'd get.
Democrats would do it too, though, right? They'd get.
Well, they're going to do that. They're going to do that. If they get in, they're going to do it very quickly. I mean, you're wrong on that one.
We'll see.
They're going to do that so fast. And I say, as long as we all know that they're going to do it, I'm so shocked to hear you. But as long as I know that they're going to do that, you do it. I would do it whether they did it or not. We would get in the next 2.5 years, we would get things that nobody ever dreamt of. We would be in office for the next 100 years. And I'll tell you what, if they get in, I may be the last Republican president.
Let's talk about the House.
If they don't get smart, if the Senate doesn't get smart, I may be the last Republican president. That's a big statement.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's right, but who knows? We'll see. Let's talk about the House. Mike Johnson will probably remain Speaker if he keeps.
He should.
If he keeps the majority. So if he loses the majority,
Mike Johnson is working with a majority of 2, 3. We've had it 1. We've had it if we're one heart attack away from losing the House.
In Congress, that ain't hard.
And you know what? We get a lot of things passed.
Yeah.
He's great. We work together great. He's a fantastic person.
If he loses it's going to be an interesting thing. The internal battles. If he loses, who gets the blame? I mean, Steve Scalise, Tom Emmer, Jim Jordan.
Great
look
people.
At it.
Everyone's great.
But you want Johnson to top House Republicans either way, no matter what happens.
Well, I don't think there's even a thought of anybody challenging him.
Well, I don't know.
Huh?
Well, there could be.
Well, I haven't heard it. I think I'd know. I think he's done a great job.
You should repunch
And again, remember this. Look, remember this. We have a majority of sometimes 1.
That's true.
Okay, it drops down to 1. But let's say when we have 3, we're in clover. Okay,
right.
And I think right now we're at 2 or 3. I think he's done a very good job.
Your critics on the Hill, Republicans, say privately, you don't really care about Congress. You don't care about losing the majority. You'll do your thing either way. You're president. You could do
no, it's
orders.
not right.
Is that not right?
Yeah, it's not right. I'd love to win. I'm fighting hard. I just get back from a trip. I was in California. I was in Nevada, all over the place.
Yep.
No, I'm going to fight. We have I don't even call it a mini convention, but it is.
In Dallas, right?
It's a mini convention in Dallas. That was an idea that I had. I think it's going to be terrific. We're going to fight hard. We raised a lot of money. I raised a lot of money for just this purpose. I'll put in a lot of money.
Right.
It's very important for the country that we win because you have people getting in office right now who will destroy this country. You're a person in Michigan that won the other night.
Abdul El-Sayed.
He is a disaster. for the country. Got a good line of stuff. I watched him. He speaks well, speaks okay, seen better. But I'll tell you what, guys like that get in, they'll destroy this country.
You said yesterday, you just talked about Nevada. You said yesterday gas prices, correct me if I'm wrong, they might go up again a little bit. You said.
No, that's only if I have to do another hit.
Okay, so I mean.
They'll only go down, or if we make a deal, they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal. Look, it's obvious. They don't want to be hit. Okay, they want to make a deal. So we'll see.
Because you're seeing that nervousness on the Hill about that.
It'll only go up if we have to do another hit.
Johnson has said in the past, if Republicans lose the House, it'll be the end of the Trump presidency to some degree.
Yeah, to some degree. Still have great blocking power, so they won't be able to do anything. In other words, they won't be able to
veto,
destroy.
right?
No, I have great block. I'm a great blocker, and they'll be putting horrible communistic type things in front of me, and I'll be just saying no, no, no. But I'd rather be a positive force than a negative force.
You've acknowledged a bunch of times that, it's tough for the party in power to keep the House majority. It's a difficult thing, right? It only happens.
It amazes me, actually. So I've done a lot. I mean, I am very consequential. You look at the great, big, beautiful, you look at all of the things that we've done. You could make the case that nobody's done so much in a year and a half.
Why are they down on the generic ballot? What do you think?
Well, let me just say it, and this is what nobody understands. Nobody understands it. The president in power, Republican or Democrat, as I call it, the president in power always loses. It's the craziest thing. 2 times.
96 and
they were a little unusual time.
Yes, they were.
There's a psychology down deep that nobody can explain.
Well, people want to check on power, I think.
Well,
right?
They maybe want to check on power, but when you have somebody doing I did the greatest tax cuts, best tax cuts, biggest tax cuts. You look at no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, the deductions for buying cars and all the things. We have more money being invested in the United States now than at any time in history. I rebuilt the military. I mean, the things I've done. So even if you did a great job as president, they seem to lose. That's the only thing that I have going against us. For some reason, if the president, whoever is Democrat or Republican, loses on the midterms. And by the way, that's over the last 100 years.
Yes,
it's not 50, it's 100 years.
How do you handicap it now, House and Senate?
I think we're going to win, but I look at, I'll be honest, I look at this, not everybody was a bad president. We've had good presidents, and even good presidents, they tend to lose the midterm. So I don't know what that is. Other than that, I'd say we should win easily. Now, I think they're hurting themselves because we don't want communists in our country. You got a lot of bad candidates on the other side. And it's one thing to win in a radical left area, an area that tends to be very much on the Democrats' side. But I don't think you can win on a general election with that. I just don't think the people are ready for it. I don't think they'll ever be ready for it.
Do you, MAGA Inc., the super PAC that your allies control, has a lot of money and a lot of people?
Not my allies. I control it.
Okay. You and your allies.
$800 million.
Are you going to spend it?
It's funny. Nobody ever, of course, I'm going to do.
You're going to spend it in the midterms.
I could spend it on pretty much anything I want. I'm going to spend it I'm going to help Republicans.
This midterm.
I mean, so when you say I don't care.
No, I didn't say that. I said some people say that.
Yeah, look, I mean, I could do a lot easier. I didn't have to be away in Nevada yesterday. I didn't have to be in Los Angeles yesterday making speeches. I didn't have to be supporting all the people. I have I have a busy schedule. I said to somebody, wait a minute, you don't understand. I won. I'm not campaigning. Now, that's the other thing. I get a tremendous vote. I have records in many of the states, the most votes ever in Texas and Florida and many, many states, Alabama. You can go through them, many, many states. The most votes ever. The question is, and they're asking this question, and I've had some great polls recently, real polls, but they're great polls. If I don't run, will those people go out and vote? And that's the one thing I can't say. I'm going to ask them to, but I'm just watching guys like you, and you're very talented people. The question is, will they vote? Because a lot of them are very angry at Republicans, to be honest with you.
Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, they're angry at Republicans. But they're not angry at me.
Thing. Why?
They're not angry at me, but they are angry at Republicans.
Everyone's always angry.
And there are some areas that are basically Democrat, but they're Trump, like Pennsylvania. I win Pennsylvania easily. I win other places easily. Look, I won Michigan easily. I did well with Michigan. I did well with almost everything, to be honest. I did well with everything.
But it's a good point, Mike.
Now the question is...
Rogers lost when you were on the ballot.
Yeah.
And now he's up again.
Well, he lost when I'm on the ballot, and I won big in Michigan. But I happen to think he won.
Okay, well, that's...
No, I think it was a rigged deal. I think they rigged him out of it, but he's a very good candidate. I think he should do well. If we believe in polls, I actually sort of believe in polls.
Polls
but
were terrible in the Democratic primary.
They were terrible in that primary. But if we believe in the poll a little bit, let's give it a little credit. They say he does better against Abdullah. It's Abdul, but the actual name is Abdullah, and then it's much longer than that.
Right.
But if you believe in the polls, he does better against Abdullah than he did against the young congresswoman.
Yeah. Should Kevin Warsh, your Fed chair, avoid a rate hike before the election?
Well, it's up to him a little bit, but not completely. He's got a board that's very political.
Right.
The United States should pay the lowest interest rate in the entire world.
So you think that he shouldn't hike rates before the election?
It's not totally up to him. It's up to a board. I think he's great. I won't be criticizing him, but I've said many times, in the old days, 20, 25 years ago, call it the old days, if you announced good numbers, the interest rates went down because you were a better credit.
Right.
Makes sense, right? Now it's all bakakt. Now it's all a different thing. If you announce great numbers, everybody's depressed because we have great numbers. They think what you're going to do is raise interest rates. But in the old days, when you announced great numbers, interest rates went down. So I want to go back to those days. We make many countries, elite countries. Take a look at Switzerland. We have a $39 billion deficit. I can wipe out that deficit in one stroke of the pen, and they're no longer an elite country. Yet they pay 0.5% interest. They're the lowest ones. And all I have to do is say, I don't want any of your watches. I don't want any of your goods. And we save ourselves $39, $40, $41 billion. And they go from being elite to being very troubled. Fortunately, I'm a nice person, okay? But just so you understand, they're paying 0.5 point. We're paying much more than that. In the old days, we were also the lowest interest rate. We should be the lowest interest rate again, because many of these countries that are very low on interest rates, they're only low because of us, because we're willing to subsidize. We're subsidizing many of the world countries, many of the most elite countries. I use Switzerland as it's very elite. I looked at the interest rates. They're paying the lowest interest rate. Well, without us, they would have nothing but problems. We hand them on a plate $40 billion. So we have a deficit, because I call a deficit a loss. Some people don't. Some people think, oh, well, it's not really, they come up with, to me, it's a loss. We hand them $40 billion a year. Without that $40 billion, they're no longer elite. And we should have the lowest interest rate anywhere in the world.
You had a meeting with Hakeem Jeffries a long time ago. I don't think you've had many more conversations with him since then. Maybe you have. What's your read of him?
I think he's a nice guy. I did. He was here.
Yeah.
We had a good meeting. It was, look.
He's harsh on you. He says,
well, he's harsh because I'm harsh on him. I'm sure he wouldn't be so harsh. I've said bad things about him.
Could you do business with him, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Look, the people are harsh on me, I'm harsh on them. It's part of the world. You cover it very well. You cover specifically Congress. You see a strange group of people. But I'd probably get along with them very well. I met him essentially once.
Yep.
I think I'd probably get along with him very well.
Just a couple more questions on policy. AI, big issue that Congress has had, is basically nowhere on, and they can't get their act together on AI.
Well, in one way that's good, in one way that's
yeah, you could argue it either way. But what do you think of
you want to regulate them out of business?
What do you think of the big question that we have all the time is, what is going to be the political impact of data centers? I know you've taken action. Congress is going to try to take action. It's going to be, in the next 10 years, a big political issue.
So the way you look at AI, whoever wins AI just wins. It's that big. It's bigger than the internet by many times. It's going to be bigger than anybody ever thought possible. Not even imaginable how big. I saw Texas the other day sort of is against data centers. I think it's a mistake. And I'm not taking positions, or I just think it's a mistake because there are other communities that want it. When a community wants it, it means a lot of money is going to come into that community.
Unsightly, potentially.
Well, I don't think they're unsightly. I mean, I'm looking at some of these data centers, the most incredible buildings I've ever seen. They go for 2.5, 3 miles. They're 3 miles by 3 miles.
They're necessary for the technology.
Well, but I think they are tremendously important for the economics. I mean, this is for Texas to say no to data centers is a mistake in the sense that it could be bigger than oil. I mean, data centers could be bigger than oil. You have the Texas oil, and there are a lot of communities that want them. But more importantly, and bad for us, there are a lot of countries that want them. And if we turn off on data centers, or we turn off on AI, we are leading, because of me, we're leading AI. Remember this, I came up with an idea that was a great idea. Nobody thought it was serious. They didn't even believe it. They didn't even put in plans with it. I said, when you build your data center, I'm going to let you build your own electric sources, your electric generating source. They said, well, that's too good to be true. They didn't believe me. It took them a month to realize I was serious, and I'm going to get you fast approvals. Lee Zeldin is great. And now, when they build a plant, they're becoming like a utility, a public utility. Right. So they're building a big portion of the building is now their own generator. So we're not taking that from the public. We're not taking it from the grid. And then at a very cheap price, and maybe for nothing, they're taking their excess electricity, which will be a lot, and they're putting it back into the grid. Now, if I didn't do that, we wouldn't have one building being built in this country, because we have an old grid that's tired, it's exhausted. And these things, the one thing they need a lot of electricity. The word is electricity. They need more electricity than the entire nation uses for everything. Think of it. If you took your electricity output for everything, they need more than that number. And sometimes people would say twice that number. It's hard to believe. It's unbelievable. But they're building their own plants. They're not going to be taking it from the grid, and they're going to be actually giving it back. And very importantly, those communities are going to make a fortune where they have the new data centers going. So if I were a governor, I would want data centers so badly. I'll cut taxes. I mean, taxes are going to go way down, because this is a tremendous source of income.
2 more quick questions.
And we can't let China beat us at this. You know, a lot of people think that the campaign that's being put on is being paid for by China.
A lot of people do.
And we have President Xi coming here in a couple of weeks, and we're going to have a great time, but I'm going to talk to him about it. But I don't blame him. You know, we do things and they do things. But a lot of people think that because they are losing to us in AI.
One of the things that Congress is wrestling with now is crypto. A big crypto bill is on the agenda. Democrats want to impose ethics restrictions and limit your ability to conduct your family's ability to conduct crypto business while you're in office. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'll tell you, it's very interesting, because Nancy Pelosi, nobody ever did that with her. And I believe crypto is very important, because if we don't have it, China's going to have it. They all want it. Okay. And we've done a great job on it. Biden all of a sudden at the end became very strong for it, because he saw I was getting all of the business. I did it for a lot of reasons. One of them was politics. There were a lot of people, like they say 100 million people worldwide, and a lot of people.
Right.
And then Biden saw what was happening. I was killing him. And he all of a sudden loved crypto. But I do it very simply because we can't let China have it or Japan have it. Other countries really want it, and we dominate in it. So to me, it's very important. But they want to do a bill. And in the bill, they want me to be different than everybody else. So
you're against that, it would sound like.
Well, I don't mind putting it in a blind trust. I don't run my stuff anyway. I let my kids run it. And I never talk to them about things. If they want to go into, they're not involved in government. I don't talk to them about government. I don't talk to them about much other than to say, I love you kids. They're good kids. But we don't want to see China take over crypto. I don't want to see China win with AI and crypto. Crypto is a big deal. I mean, I see it more and more where people are paying with Bitcoin, and they don't even know about cash anymore. That takes a lot of pressure off our dollar. It's a good thing for our country. But if China took over crypto, which they would love to do, or if China took over AI, which they would really, so we are leading with AI on China. Nobody thought that was possible. The reason was energy, because he can create, he's an amazing guy. China can create unbelievable amounts of energy, and they use coal and they use oil and gas and they use, they make a lot of windmills, but they don't use too many windmills because they're smart, because wind is a disaster. It's
I don't understand your obsession with that, but
you know what my obsession is? I want the country to be successful. We subsidize all of this wind. You shouldn't have to subsidize energy, number one. But wind is a very expensive form of
Some
energy.
Republicans are against you on that too, but
That's because they don't understand business.
Last question for you. If Democrats do take over the House, it's just going to be investigation mania. They're going to do oversight. They could impeach you again. I mean, do you think they will?
Well, a lot of people are saying I'm one of the greatest presidents ever.
They're not saying that, though.
But they know, they see the results. Look, we have right now more money being invested in the United States than at any time in history, more money than any country has ever had being invested. We're at numbers that we're building more factories, plants, and I'm not just talking about AI, yes, but auto plants of all kinds. Toyota just announced they're coming in with the largest plant anywhere in the world. They're leaving Mexico. They're leaving Canada. People are leaving, the car companies are leaving Germany. They're leaving Japan. They're all coming here because of tariffs, because of my very smart use of tariffs, because
But will they impeach you, do you think? It's hard to believe they could, but
they'll
be all over you. They'll be subpoenaed.
It's a very unfair thing. Yeah, it's a very unfair thing. When I was president and I made the statement a lot about Hillary Clinton, they wanted to impeach her, they wanted to destroy her. And I said, you just can't do that. And then I get in there and they tried to do the same thing with me. They were vicious. So I guess they might be.
Are they more vicious than Republicans?
I think the Republicans are too nice, actually. I think the Republicans are much nicer. I think the Republicans are much more gentle than the Democrats. I think the problem with the Democrats, they have bad policy. They're smart, they're vicious, but they have really bad policy. Open borders, let the whole world come into our country, let prisons be emptied out into our country. The transgender mutilization of your children, that's fine with them. All of these things that they have men playing in women's sports, they want men playing. They have horrible policy. They love crypto. They love AI, but they don't like it if I'm involved in it, because if I'm involved, as president, look, I've created the greatest market ever. Nobody could believe that we're leading substantially China, as an example, in AI and in crypto. And it's because of me. Biden was against all this. I don't think Biden had any idea what it was. But our country right now is doing better than it's ever done. When I see polls on the economy, I should have 150%, not 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have the greatest. This is the golden age of America. What's being built now in this country has never, ever been built. And we are literally in the golden age of America. And I think people are starting. I actually think people are starting.
We'll see. 89 days. We'll see if they.
It's going to be very exciting.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Presented by Boeing. As America celebrates its 250th anniversary, Boeing honors a shared journey of ingenuity. For over a century, Boeing has helped put our nation in the air and in space, from the golden age of flight to the final frontier. Today, that legacy powers 1.4 million American jobs and connects 10,000 suppliers across all 50 states. That's how Boeing backs America.
All right, we are now back for the panel. We've got our very own John Bresnahan, co-founder of Punchbowl News, Jake, myself. Bresnahan.
This is the A-team.
It's the
This
OG
is the OG Punchbowl.
Yeah,
OG
actually, our
Punchbowl.
whole team is really the A-team, but this is the OG
Right,
team.
the OG
I guess.
Punchbowl.
Oh, man. Let's talk about this, Brez. I want to kick it to you first. What was your, kind of one or two things that really stuck out to you in this interview?
Well, first of all, it was a great interview because he talked about Congress in depth, which is something that he doesn't do. He talks about Congress a lot, but he doesn't talk about it like the depth that we covered. So, and he knows what's going on. I mean,
He clearly does, yeah. I was actually surprised by that.
He's clearly very tuned into it. I thought for me, the we'll talk more about it. He made some comments on Senate Majority Leader John Thune. He made some comments on House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Speaker Mike Johnson. I thought for me, the SAVE Act stuff was fascinating because he's been talking about it for months. We've been writing about it for months. This is a huge part of the fight over reconciliation. He wants it. It got knocked out last time. He wants it. He wants the photo ID. He wants the proof of citizenship. He's on top of this. He rails on the elections, which always surprises me how negative since Republicans control everything.
Well, he said Mike Rogers is actually the senator from Michigan, which according to reality is not the case.
No, but he won Michigan and Rogers lost. So
he can't comprehend that. And he also
he can comprehend it. He just doesn't want it. That's a different.
But you know what's interesting to me, and we actually haven't talked about this yet. He can't really comprehend. And this is not a criticism of him, but he doesn't really seem to get that presidents lose power on the Hill. They lose the House in their midterms. He's like, it just always happens. I don't really get it.
He went through it though. He lost his majority.
He's not a tale as old as time.
He gets it. Right.
I mean, let's talk about this because we obviously care about the leadership because that is what matters on Capitol Hill, whether things are going to happen or not happen. John Thune and the president, clearly not close personal friends. But I thought he was very measured in a way that you did not take the bait, Jake. I think you pressed in an appropriate way, but pressed him a couple times for him to kind of sound off, and he chose not to.
If you put him on Truth Serum, he wouldn't say that. And I'm not saying he was being dishonest. I think he was being measured because he understands, and it's hard to not understand, but he gets that John Thune holds the keys to a lot of stuff that Trump wants done. I think he's frustrated with Thune. He wants the SAVE Act as the top priority. And instead, the Senate is spending its last days in session on a CR, on a Russia sanctions bill, on confirming Todd Blanche, who, by the way, if he doesn't get confirmed, Trump said he would keep him in his acting AG.
Which we wrote about.
Yeah, we wrote about. The Julie Su precedent.
The Julie Su precedent. Democrats did this themselves.
But he clearly is not sold on John Thune. And I think, to be honest with you, John Thune might not be sold on Donald Trump either. I mean, you and I, we all watch John Thune all the time. I mean, they are very different people.
Yeah.
Right?
They couldn't be more in style. I mean, Thune has been, I've known Thune since he was a freshman House member, okay? They couldn't be more different. I mean, Thune is a straight talking guy. I mean, and Trump will say what he needs to say in certain situations. And Thune is a different character. It's just their background, the way they approach things, the way they approach people. I'm not saying better or worse. They're just completely different. Whereas Mike Johnson has aligned himself with his power, his survival as speaker relies on Trump, and it's not the same for Thune.
And Trump had a lot of, frankly, praise for Johnson.
What is he not going to praise him for, right?
But I'm just saying, it's I have 1 or 2 votes, and you pressed him on the idea. Well, if they lose the majority, and should he be the minority leader? He said, "Oh, I haven't heard of anybody that would want to run." And I wanted to say, "Well, I have, sir."
Listen, the thing is, and we talk about this all the time. Thune says no to Trump because he has to, because he doesn't have the votes, and Trump doesn't like that. And I know Thune talks to Susie Wiles all the time, talks to everybody he can at the White House. He talks to Vance. He talks to James Brady. He talks to everybody he can at the White House. But Trump doesn't want to hear no. He's the president. He doesn't want to hear no. Presidents don't like the word no. That's how they end up as presidents.
Right. And I will say it's interesting, and it's an interesting point in time, and we should put a pin in this, right? That he says Johnson should be the minority leader. That is a very impactful statement, because if Johnson loses the majority, there will be people who will want to kick him out of that spot.
We've written about it. Yeah, because we personally, you and I
we've had these conversations.
Different views. I think Jim Jordan would end up as minority leader. Yeah. Or Scalise, but I think more likely than John.
You also need a fighter when you're in the minority.
Nobody is more like that than Jim Jordan.
Than Jim Jordan. I mean, that is the politics that would just, whereas Mike Johnson wants to be the loyal house.
But I will say this. I just had a conversation with somebody in Johnson World about this week, as we've had this, slow House period, although it's not a slow Senate period, that this person said to me, well, remember, Mike Johnson was the guy during impeachment who was fighting back on judiciary.
He his bones,
he
right?
was a firebrand. I would actually make the
We need to
argument.
roll the tape back.
And January 6th, remember, he was the one who, wanted to challenge the certification.
And I will say, maybe we have it wrong. Maybe being speaker is actually the stretch for Mike Johnson and not being the fire thrower. The flamethrower. I hadn't thought about it in those terms. And I don't
Very
think
interesting point.
we haven't discussed this internally, but I just think for Johnson, that was a really good comment.
All right, we are quickly running out of time, but before we get to the last part of the segment, I do want to talk about something we were chatting about, which is how the president framed up his opposition to Senator Cornyn, Tillis, and I think where you pointed out, Lisa Murkowski.
Lisa Murkowski. He made some strong comments about Lisa Murkowski in this interview. He talked about, I'm against Murkowski. I mean, that's a hell of a quote, right? It's not surprising. She voted to impeach him, but he's gotten everybody else, okay? He got, Cassidy, got Bill Cassidy, got the House guys who voted, but Murkowski, who's a fantastic politician and,
She won as a write-in.
She won as a write-in, in
a state like Alaska, that ain't easy.
With her dad, former governor. I mean, she is one of the most accomplished senators. She's probably, in a lot of ways, she might be one of the top 2 or 3 senators in terms of competency, I think. But I just think his strength of his statement, and I'm against Murkowski. She's not good. And then the way he said it, it was like, he can never be for somebody who voted to impeach him because MAGA would never forgive him.
Right. It was just really an interesting into how he thinks.
Right.
Right.
The one thing I will say, which I thought was interesting, is Trump said that Republican voters are frustrated, but not frustrated with him.
Right.
Which I don't know if that's true or not, but it's interesting.
It's an interesting way of thinking the world and how he decides to where he's going to get blowback or not. All right, let's get into what's not going to fly. Brez?
I think the SAVE Act stuff, he's been pushing hard. He wants to get rid of the filibuster. That's the only way they can pass the SAVE Act, but I'm not even sure it can pass then. He wants a vote, and he wants to force everybody out in the open on this. And that is Thune, exactly what Thune doesn't want to do. Because why would, again, this happened with Schumer and the filibuster and Joe Biden. Like, why would you walk somebody out on a ledge if you can't pass the bill? Why would you
remember, Trump has never been an elected legislator.
No, he's never done. Yeah.
He's one.
He would have lasted about 5 minutes because he would hate everything they do. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
imagine
because they never do anything.
Right. But and I just think that is, he wants to smoke people out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what Thune doesn't want.
I'm going to give you the last word, but first I'm going to go quickly. I thought what he said on gas prices, Republicans extremely concerned about rising gas prices and how that's going to impact them in the midterms. And he basically said, well, it might go up if I hit Iran, and I might hit him. Really kind of glossed over the impact that could have. And I just don't think that flies with the Republican base.
I'll add to that we haven't talked about what he said about Hakeem Jeffries. What he said about Hakeem Jeffries was very interesting. He said he was a nice guy. He thinks he could do business with him. But
which is after called him a low IQ guy. He said some really bad things.
I said that.
He acknowledged it was harsh.
He does, right?
He said, listen, I hit him hard because he hits me hard. And that's how we kind of used the exchange between
two New Yorkers.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're from New York or Trump.
Well,
you could be from anywhere.
He's Queens, Hakeem's Brooklyn, it's different.
And I think that dynamic, and I don't think why it's not going to fly is because Jeffries is not going to have a ton of leeway to be doing business with Trump. That's for sure.
We'll have to see. There'll be places where he can, but he'll be, the first thing, if they win a majority, it's going to be on the back of anti-Trump fervor, okay? And he's going to face a question of impeachment. There's going to be people who are pushing him for day one. They're going to push him assuming they're majority, before any speaker vote. He's going to face this question. Now, we've written about it, that there's a lot of people in the caucus who don't, but he's going to face a lot of pressure. But think about it. The first thing he gets as speaker, the first black speaker in American history, if he got in there and the first thing he does is impeach the president. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
That would just be, is that really where he wants to go?
He didn't, and Trump kind of said he can't understand. I don't remember the exact quote, but you've just seen it. He said, he was not sure whether they were going to impeach him. And listen, I think the big story of the next 2 years is them going after bank records, subpoenaing companies.
Oversight.
The Suns. They'll go after the Suns' businesses. The Suns doing business with federal agencies.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to leave it there. Obviously, we could keep talking all night. Brez, thanks so much for joining us. Jake, that was a ton to unpack in that interview with the president. A very big get for Flyout Day on our season finale.
All the season finale. I got to say that. And the conversation was, as promised, focused on Congress, the personalities driving policymaking and legislating on Capitol Hill, which we think is our sweet spot. We started off Flyout Day with Speaker Mike Johnson, had all four of the big four, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, John Thune, and ended it with the President of the United States, Anna. And season 2, I think we just decided that season 2 begins when?
It will begin in early September. So that is.
Are we doing out fronts? What upfronts, whatever they're called?
Oh, goodness.
This is it.
Yeah, exactly. That is all from us today. But please make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Give this video a like, share with your friends. Get the message out about what the president said to us. And we always appreciate you following us at punchbowl.news. Have a great day and
great weekend, a great August. Stay safe.